What's up, guys? This is Aaron, and it is time for Week 1 college football best bets. I've got about 8 or 9 for you. So let's get started. We are 6-1 on the season. Let's see. So the first one we'll do, let's go USC minus 35 against Missouri State. So this one's pretty simple. We're playing, probably a top maybe 15 power rated team against a team that's coming up from the FCS to the FBS. So you're basically getting USC versus an FCS team here. USC brings back plenty of production. Missouri State, the losses that they have, it's just kind of hard for them to replace adequately what they have. Also, that it's at home. So let's go USC minus 35. The second game is Memphis minus 27.5 against Chattanooga. So Chattanooga lost 69-3 to Tennessee last year. Memphis beat North Alabama 40-0 last year. So, you see that Memphis can handle their FCS competition. Chattanooga struggles with, middle to upper tier FBS competition. Memphis only has Troy on deck. That's not a rivalry game. It's at home. It's not a conference game. So I think they'll be pretty focused here out of the gate. So let's go Memphis minus 27.5. We got Oklahoma under 61.5 against Illinois State. So Illinois State got shut out by Iowa last season, 40-0. Not a team that's going to score points against really good defenses. Oklahoma's got a really good defense. I do think that they will spend some time trying to get the offense ready, trying to get the offense to work. But I do think that with Michigan on deck, that's such a big game, and it matters so much for their season that I think, it's on the road also. So I think that at some point, not only are they going to play more of a vanilla game, but I think they're also going to, run the clock out, play a little vanilla here. No need to really go all out against a team like Illinois State. So let's go under 61.5. We got kind of the same perspective here. Iowa under 51.5 against Albany. So Iowa has the Cy-Hawk Trophy rivalry game next week against Iowa State. Biggest game of the year for them. That game really matters to them. They're in a good position to where they can probably win that because of the spot for Iowa State. So this week, they got Albany. Albany's got a bad offense. They're not very good on defense. The only worry is if Iowa just, gets turnover sixes, things like that. But really at some point, as conservative as the head coach is, Ferentz, the quarterback they brought in from South Dakota State, Gronowski, he's more of a runner than a thrower. So, probably going to run more, churn a little more clock. It's a run-first team anyway. Probably more like a 40-0 kind of game. So let's go under 51.5. The next one, we'll do Pitt minus 37.5 against Duquesne. A couple of Pittsburgh schools here. Duquesne is sort of a middle, lower level FCS team. Pitt usually absolutely destroys their FCS competition. Like last year, they scored 73 against Youngstown State. They just keep piling it on. I guess maybe the head coach, Narduzzi, kind of wants these momentum builders where you score a whole bunch of points, win big, it looks good. So they also beat Kent State. They scored 55 against Kent State last year. And the last touchdown to cover the spread was late. They did not need to score that touchdown. They could have, run the clock out, and instead they tried to score. So that kind of lets you know that this is a coach that, maybe will put that last touchdown on the board. Duquesne, like I said, lower to mid-level FCS team. So let's hope for the same thing this year. We'll go Pitt minus 37.5. The next one we'll go, we got a couple of Conference USA teams. We'll go Middle Tennessee State minus 9.5. This is Derek Mason's second year. Should have a little more continuity this year. The quarterback's back, they got 15 starters back. They play Austin Peay That's sort of a middling, sort of lower middle FCS team still. They've had a couple of good years, but then this is like one of those places where if your coach does really well, the coach leaves, you got to, hire somebody else, bunch of roster turnover. So that's kind of what they deal with, over and over again. Last year, they lost 62-0 to Louisville. So that kind of shows you they're not really able to handle, the Power Four teams. So in Middle Tennessee State, they're not at that level, but the spread here being single digits, they can win this by 10. The next one is Louisiana Tech minus 13.5 against Southeastern Louisiana. So sort of a similar situation here. Southeastern Louisiana, they lose quarterback, they lose halfback, they lose a top receiver. They lost to Southern Miss by 25 last season. That's a really, really bad Southern Miss team. They lost to Tulane 52-0. So that kind of shows you, average, below average, even FBS teams, tend to be able to handle them pretty well. Louisiana Tech last year, they've covered the last 3 years against their FCS competition. They've got LSU on deck, at LSU. They know they're not going to win that game. So this is going to be the one that they put a little bit more focus into. This is going to be an important game for them, to get their team going, to, get like a good momentum building win. So let's go Louisiana Tech minus 13.5. And the last one I'll give you, we'll do Oregon State on the money line. Oregon State, I'm kind of buying as a bowl team, a little bit better than last year, a little bit more continuity, the second year of the head coach. Whereas for Cal, they hired Brian Harsin to run the offense, and they had a bunch of players that left like post spring when they hired the guy. So they lost like every running back, they lost a bunch of receivers. And when you're losing, significant players after spring, it's just not a good look. Anybody you bring in to replace them, they have like very little time, to get acclimated with the offense. So I think Cal is more of a downtrending team. They're going to play like the true freshman at quarterback. He beat out a third or fourth year guy, Devin Brown, that comes from Ohio State. And that guy didn't look very good, the one ball game that he started. But, playing a true freshman, it's not much of a road game, but, Oregon State at home, let's just take them on the money line. It's minus 120. All right, so 6-1 on the season. I think I've got like 9 bets for later today. So let's cash. Let's make some money, guys.